Hi, this is John Benson from johnbensonfitness.com. Pardon the video-less video. My iCam is busted, so I'm getting it fixed this weekend, so no worries. But besides, you can do without my pretty face for a few informative minutes, right? Ladies, control yourselves. But anyway, two things are on my mind today. I've decided to cover them in two different videos rather than one long video. So be sure to watch the next video. The link will be at the end of the video as well as in the sidebar to your right. Also, I'm asking a favor to please rate this video and subscribe if you haven't already. And just FYI, I do want to hear from you, so comment. That's what this whole thing is about. Interaction, commentary. I want to know what you're thinking. Okay, two things on my mind. First, low-carb lunacy. Man, oh man, don't get me started on this one. Well, wait, I've already got myself started on it, so you're going to have to deal with it. And after that, I'm going to cover a video on why craving foods and being fat is really not your fault, but it is your responsibility. Okay? I am so provocative, aren't I? Let's talk about carbs. In 2006, yet another study came out promoting the benefits of low-carb nutrition. This one, funded by Barry Sears of the famed Zone book, looked at his version of low-carb dieting, which is about 40% carbs, in comparison with, ironically enough, a 5% ketogenic diet carbohydrate plan, which is the Atkins diet. That's right. We're going head-to-head here, and Barry funded the study. Now, I love Barry, but I smell bias. Nonetheless, we have some interesting findings here. The question was pretty simple. Is there any benefit to going on an ultra-low-carb diet as opposed to going on a moderately low-carb diet? The ultra-low-carb diet is often called a ketogenic diet because it produces ketones. Turns to find out that, nope, there's not that much benefit in his study. Then again, his study was with 20 subjects over 6 weeks. That's not a very long study, and that's not very many people. I'm going to show you some studies that don't exactly mesh with this, and I think we're better done studies, longer studies for sure, more people, and show you kind of the whole picture. Okay, so what we have with this first study, if you look at this, 20 people, 6 weeks, a definite agenda, okay, a little too short, and the findings were a little bit dubious. First of all, as we see, the Zone diet performed better than the Atkins diet slightly. There was a little bit more weight loss, but there were some inflammatory markers, which are negative, found in the ketogenic diets. Well, why was this? Well, they didn't really go into it, but it's a pretty simple reason. The foods that you would naturally consume in a very high-fat, high-protein, low-carb diet naturally have higher levels of arachidonic acid, which is a definite inflammatory agent. And in a sense, your body has to learn how to deal with it, how to manufacture it, how to make it work over time. And as the studies I'm about to show you show, it does exactly that. It does it very well, as a matter of fact. 6 weeks just isn't long enough. And that's the same for the quote-unquote low-energy reports from the low-carbohydrate group, the extremely low-carbohydrate group. So now let's look at some other studies. I think, again, that were very well-designed and much longer. How about this one? The effects of a 6-month adherence to a very low carbohydrate diet plan using 51 people. And the result? Sustained weight loss and nothing but beneficial lipid and metabolic adaptation. That means that the LDL, unlike the study in the Sears study, actually went down, and the HDL, the quote-unquote good cholesterol, went up. The triglycerides went down. Basically, every metabolic advantage that you want occurred. And of course, weight was lost. Now, how about this one? This is one of the ones that's one of my favorites. It is a comparison of the Atkins diet, the Zone diet, which is 40% carbs, the Ornish diet, which is a vegetarian-based, high carbohydrate diet, and the Learn diet. There were 311 participants, and all of them were premenopausal women. I'm not really sure why they limited this to women, but it doesn't really matter because men, women, it's going to work the same. The conclusion was pretty profound. The premenopausal, overweight, and obese women assigned to follow the Atkins diet, which had the lowest carbohydrate intake, lost more weight, and experienced more favorable overall metabolic effects after 12 months, this is a full year, as those who were assigned to the quote-unquote healthier diets, the higher carbohydrate diets, the Ornish diet, the Learn diets, and the Zone diet, which is only 40% carbs. Again. And how about this one? Low carbohydrate ketogenic diet to treat type 2 diabetes. That's right. There's more to the picture than meets the eye here. Ketogenic diets have been used to treat epilepsy, type 2 diabetes, and as we're about to see, Alzheimer's and dementia. And there's a really good reason for all of those. Now, there were only 20 participants in this diet, but it was a 16-week study. And using a ketogenic diet, very low in carbs, the LCKD, which is the low carbohydrate ketogenic diet, improved glycemic control in patients with type 2 diabetes such that diabetes medications were discontinued or reduced in most participants. Wow, pretty powerful. How about one more? A healthier, quote-unquote, version of Atkins, a basically plant-based version of Atkins. Overweight individuals who ate a low-calorie, low-carbohydrate diet and plant-based proteins for just 4 weeks lost weight and experienced improvements in blood cholesterol levels and other heart disease risk factors. Now, this is very interesting because a vegetarian low-fat diet was compared with it, yet it showed none of the additional benefits to the cardiovascular system. Ironically, these people lost weight, but it didn't seem like their hearts and their cardiovascular system improved. Well, what is going on here? Folks, there's a very simple explanation for what is going on here. You ready? Everyone responds to carbohydrates differently based on your current level of inflammation and insulin resistance. And let me tell you from firsthand and clinical experience, most people with stubborn fat and that visceral fat, and that's the beer belly looking guys, the really thick fat that you feel that you can't really pinch, but the bulky fat. This kind of fat is almost always based on insulin resistance. In short, most people who are overweight will fare well with lower carbohydrate diets. Now, it depends on how low you want to go. Some need to go lower than 40%, some don't. But lower carbohydrate diets, time and time again, seem to outperform the higher carbohydrate components when it comes down to insulin management and lowering inflammation. Now, I'm going to propose a better solution, a more balanced solution. It's what I call a staggered carbohydrate approach. It's what I use in the every other day diet. The link is in the sidebar to your right if you want to check it out. This creates the same exact benefits of a low carbohydrate approach because it is mostly low carbohydrate, but without the drawbacks, without the metabolic shutdown that a lot of people experience when their diets stop working. And most people give up a very low carbohydrate diet after 4 or 6 months because they just can't take it anymore. Well, this avoids that problem altogether. But the bottom line is that you must increase your insulin sensitivity no matter what. A low-fat, higher carbohydrate diet is usually not the best way to go about this, despite whatever weight loss benefits may, or in these cases may not, be associated with it. And the longer the resistance has been present in your life and in your body, the lower your carbs have to be, especially starting off, generally speaking. One final note, a study done in 2006 that followed up one in 2005 revealed that ketogenic diets are a possible salvation for dementia and Alzheimer patients, as their brains are so insulin resistant they cannot uptake sugar from carbs as fuel. In other words, the brain has no fuel to run on, hence the neuron activity breaks down and memory fails. Using ketones as fuel, however, that was able to bypass this in rat brains, and rats were actually restored to almost full mental function. Now, this process was repeated again in humans, and has been repeated in humans many times with similar results. So, do you need ketosis? No. You probably don't. But by cycling ketogenic days, in other words, days with very low carbohydrates, high vegetables, high protein, high fat, with higher carbohydrate days, can actually help you reboot your body's natural insulin response and help you lose weight and help you restore multiple metabolic processes and even possibly mental functions. Now, if you want to know more about this, a very balanced approach that works for thousands of people, do check out my book, Every Other Day Diet. Again, the link is in the sidebar. I look forward to hearing your comments below, and I look forward to your comments on the next video, which is going to talk about why gaining weight isn't necessarily your fault. Craving food, craving fat, craving sugar isn't necessarily your fault. It is, however, your responsibility. Thanks.